Welcome back to the Discovery Channel. Glenn Davis here, speaking on a special segment of Fragile X disorder. We're going to go around the city of Roswell and interview people to see and learn all that we can learn about this disorder. So, we have a young athlete here that really knows what he's talking about. What's your name, youngster?
The name's Jack.
And what do you know about Fragile X? What can you tell us?
Alright, so Fragile X, that's a common inherited genetic disorder. It causes learning disabilities with the person and impairment to them. It's most common in males because of their X chromosome being affected. Thank you.
Davis here. And we really need to find somebody that can really expound on the information that was previously said. Oh, it looks like we have somebody that is coming through the woods now. Do you know? Can you tell us anything about Fragile X?
Fragile X is a inherited genetic disorder that is X-linked dominant. This means that the mutation of the gene occurs on the X chromosome. 1 out of every 4,000 males gets it, versus the 1 out of every 8,000 females. This is due to because the females have 2 X chromosomes, so even when they receive a bad copy, they still have another copy that overrides that. But in males, since they only have 1, if they have 1, then they automatically get it. This is the reason why the female number is twice less likely to get this bad syndrome.
Thank you, Glenn Davis. Now let us continue on to find out the causes of Fragile X. Young sir, do you know the causes of Fragile X?
Certainly. So, Fragile X, it's an inherited genetic disorder that we get from our parents. So we got this gene in our body, it's called the FMR1. Its purpose is to produce protein for our brain to grow and develop. So what Fragile X is, it goes in and it goes to our fragile part of our X chromosome in that gene and it changes it. So once that happens, the brain won't be able to grow and function properly. So yeah, it's a tragedy.
Thank you.
It's very cold out, by the way.
Hello, this is Glenn Davis and we're back. We have a young, interesting man that's going to tell us, excuse me, can you tell us about the symptoms of Fragile X? What's your name?
My name's Albert. Thank you for having me on here. Some symptoms include soft skin, a large forehead, a long and skinny face, slower reaction time and in language, and also mental impairment. So that's why it causes 1/3 of all autistic children.
Thank you. Okay, and now we're going to see the karyotypes. Sir, do you have the karyotypes for Fragile X?
Fragile X? Actually, they happen to be right here.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Terrific.
So for every genetic disease, inherited, so there's karyotypes involved. So this is the human karyotype of a Fragile X patient. These are all normal, 1 through 22 chromosomes, okay? So then you go to the X chromosome. This is a male, by the way. So you go to the X chromosome on the 23rd chromosome. Alright, here's a close-up picture right here. So here we go. So this is a regular patient. That's the site of the fragile section of the X chromosome. And that's what happens to a Fragile X patient. So it kind of goes out like Collinsworth reporting. Glenn Davis had to take a break. Alright, so I was walking along and I found this nice gentleman right here. He looks like a frisbee player. Excuse me, sir.
Oh, okay.
What's your name?
Brody.
Brody?
Yeah.
Alright, Brody. So, I found Brody here. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions
Yeah.
on a particular topic?
Yeah.
Alright, so it's about Fragile X. So, how can you tell if someone has Fragile X at a young age?
Oh, well, yeah, let me tell you, Chris, there's a couple things you can say. Now, when they're babies, their circumference of their head is abnormally large. At the start of puberty, their testicles are enlarged at a larger size than normal, and finally, that their learning disabilities are a little slower than the average pace. Any more questions?
Actually, is there any treatment involved with this? Like, to maybe reduce it, at least?
Actually, unfortunately, there's no cure, and there's no one treatment that's totally recommended by every doctor. But there is many education systems and therapy that can really help you. And if you really just love the child as somebody that, as any child should be loved, then that probably is the best therapy.
Oh, sounds
Hello,
good.
Glenn Davis here. Now, to end this, I'm going to wrap this up. Fragile X syndrome is caused due to the lack of the protein FMRP. FMRP is created from the gene FMR1. This is FMR1 in this diagram. Now, the reason FMR1 in a Fragile X patient doesn't create enough of the protein FMRP is due to the mutation called insertion. In a normal human, the codon CGG is repeated about 40 times in FMR1. But in a Fragile X patient, it's repeated thousands of times, causing the patient to have a lack of FMRP. And FMRP is important because FMRP is directly related to cognitive functions in the brain and is very essential for learning. Thank you. Hello, I'm Bob Ross of the American Fragile X Association. Now, in all seriousness, Fragile X is no joking matter. In the US today, over 1 million people have or are in danger of inheriting Fragile X. Now, if you want to help or for more information, please call this number, 1-800-347-HELP. And please feel free to donate. Every penny will go to patients of Fragile X and to help them with every step of the way. Thank you.